So hello everyone, can you hear me properly? So my name is Navrosa Ladha. I'm the Deputy Director of Digital Skills and Inclusion in the Digital Economy Unit in the Department of Culture, Media and Sport, or as we call it, DCMS, and working closely with other government departments, mainly actually Department for Education. My team leads on digital skills across government. And the wider digital economy unit remit also includes things like broadband, future technology, spectrum, cybersecurity, and telecoms resilience. And I know that many people still find it difficult to get their heads around why digital policy is in the Department for Culture. And I know our Minister, Matt Hancock, spends a lot of time saying, I know I don't have a digital in my department, but digital policy is very, very much part of our department, and the Digital Economy Unit in the department is a really thriving unit that looks at all these issues. So, I wanted to start by saying that I'm delighted to be in Manchester. And not just because it's home to one of the most vibrant digital communities in Europe, and on that I wanted to say many congratulations on becoming a top 20 European digital city, but because it's my hometown. Admittedly, I've not lived here for over 25 years, and I think I've probably lost my Mancunian accent a little bit, or maybe even a lot. But I was thinking back to my own childhood growing up in Manchester. And well, first of all, actually, I thought about my school dinners. And I remember having Manchester tart, which I've never, ever had outside of Manchester. And I don't know whether you still have Manchester tart here at school. I don't know. And I was also thinking about gravy, because when you live in London, you don't get gravy like you get it in Manchester. But on the technology front, I was also thinking about my first experience of technology as a child. And I can see from the audience that some of you will be far too young to remember what I'm about to say next. But one of the things I remember, and it was in the late 70s or early 80s, I think, was my uncle coming home with this game, and it was called Pong. And it was a tennis game. I don't know whether anyone remembers this, but it was a really basic two-pad. Yeah, some people are nodding. Thank goodness I'm not that old. And it was really basic, two paddles and a ball. And I loved this game. I was like addicted to this game, Pong. And it made me think how technology has come basically on in leaps and bounds since I was growing up. And so my own kids, who are now 4 and 6, they engage effortlessly with technology in a way that I find quite astounding, actually. When my daughter was 5, she had got hold of my mobile phone, and she cracked the code because she'd seen me putting in my numbers. She went into my contacts, and because a lot of her friends' mums are in my contacts as, you know, Alice's mum or Sarah's mum, and she went in and she got the names of the people she wanted, and she started sending them messages. And actually they were quite coherent messages because she'd figured out predictive text. So there might be messages like, you know, do you want a play date? And I think the only thing that gave it away was the sort of hundreds of emojis that she signed off with at the end. And I remember thinking, I don't know whether I'm really horrified by the fact that she's done this, or I'm really amazed that a 5-year-old is doing this. And actually, I'm still not sure about it. So we've come a long way, but we still have a very long way to go. The jobs that my children might end up doing in a digital world probably haven't even been thought of yet. I haven't been in my role for very long, but I desperately wanted this job, and I wanted it because, for me, digital skills, it really matters, and it matters at all levels. It's important that everyone has the basic digital skills, actually, that they need to make the most of living fulfilling lives in a digital economy. They need the general digital skills that actually we increasingly need in every job, in almost every sector, through to the advanced digital skills for the growing number of specialist digital roles across the economy. And not everyone has those skills. So we know that 10.2 million people, adults in England, currently lack the required level of basic digital skills required to function and participate effectively in today's economy and society. We know that in 2015, 72% of large companies and 49% of SMEs, small medium enterprises, reported tech skills gaps. We predict that a million new people will be needed for digital roles by 2023. And we know that there are particular gaps in advanced skills such as data analytics, mentioned earlier, and cybersecurity. And we need to be more inclusive. Women account for less than 20% of those in digital roles, and we need to reach out for the best talent, whatever the background is. So my team looks at issues across the spectrum, from those who are digitally excluded at one end of the spectrum to the demand and supply issues at the specialist end, which we've heard about today. And it matters. It matters for our children, it matters for society, and actually it matters for the economy. The digital sector's contribution to GVA in 2015 amounted to about £119 billion. That's about 70% of the UK's GVA. So digital transformation is really vital to the success of the whole economy, and digital skills is a crucial part of that picture. So government itself has one goal in mind when it comes to digital generally. We want the UK to be the best country in the world to start and grow a digital business and to innovate with technology. We want digital entrepreneurs to think about coming to the UK first. And across the whole of the government, we understand the importance of digital skills to support that. And I think what's really interesting about digital skills is, unlike, say, maths or English, once you've got it, you've sort of got it. Whereas with digital skills, they're constantly evolving, they're changing. And so we really need to make sure that the education and training pipeline is good enough, really, and it supports the growth and the productivity that we need across the economy. So what is government doing to tackle the digital skills gap? Well, we're taking quite a few measures. A recent measure is, in a bill that's going through Parliament at the moment, is a provision for where publicly funded basic digital skills is offered, then it will be offered free of charge to all adults in England who need it. And again, that sort of sends out a really interesting message, because it puts on par digital literacy for adults with maths and English literacy. In 2014, we launched a new computing curriculum in schools to help develop problem-solving skills and, of course, general computing skills. But one of the things when I've been going out talking to people is that the computing curriculum, what kids are learning there through their problem-solving abilities, they're actually applying to other subjects as well, and it's helping them do their other subjects a lot better, such as maths. We are reforming the technical education system through the development of 15 prestigious technical routes. And again, interestingly, digital skills will be included as a theme throughout all of those routes. We anticipate that there'll be 3 million new apprenticeships starters by 2020, again, including digital apprenticeships. And in 2016, the Ada National College for Digital Skills opened, and its aim is to reach around 5,000 learners within the next five years. On higher education, again, some of you might know this, we commissioned Professor Sir Nigel Shadbolt to consider how to improve computer science undergraduate employability and skills. Computer science graduates have the highest level of unemployment of all graduates 6 months after graduating, at around 10%, which is pretty shocking stuff. What Professor Shadbolt found was that we need to ensure that students undertake more work placements. That's really key, understanding how to do things in practice, in a work environment. And also he said, actually, industry need to articulate better what it is that they are looking for, and there needs to be more consistent terminology around skills and requirements. So we are working with Department for Education in terms of taking that forward. I'd also like to take this opportunity to highlight what we think are the really innovative digital degree apprenticeship programs. They started in 2015 in 9 universities, offering degree apprenticeships to 250 students. In 2016, that grew to around 500 at 16 universities. And I know that Manchester Metropolitan University, who has a stand here today and has got some great stuff on that stand, is particularly active in this area. And for us, it sort of offers the best of both worlds, because you have the academic or the technical side on one hand, the professional skills on the other. Companies are getting a student or employee with particular skills, and students, while studying, are preparing for the world of work in a well-paid and interesting job. I mentioned earlier that women are significantly underrepresented in digital roles. We've already heard Tony speak about that. In the tech sector, it's pretty bad. I mean, just 17% of those working in technology in the UK are female, and Tony's figures take us slightly below that. But if the UK is to fill its digital and technology skills gap, we do need to encourage more businesses to develop a culture that supports inclusion. And what we're doing in our department is working with stakeholders across the tech sector to look at the ways in which we can enhance and support the position of women in the digital world. So, for example, last year on International Women's Day, we brought together large groups of companies and organisations to explore some of those barriers that women face, maybe at different stages of their STEM careers, or their STEM education, or what are the barriers stopping women from entering these professions. And we're also looking at diversity actually in a broader sense than just gender diversity. So the supply of digital skills, including actually the right type of digital skills that employers say that they want, is crucial. And recruiting and retaining those skills is also a big challenge. Again, we've heard a little bit about that today. There are many great universities and colleges in the Northwest here, large number of graduates still leaving to go elsewhere. But it's reassuring to hear, actually, that a lot of stuff that's being done in this area. And actually, it's not just availability of jobs, and we've heard again about this today. It's about how you retain that talent. So research has shown that clear progression opportunities are really, really important. Tony referred to the culture and the progressive ways of working. All that is absolutely right. So for the Northwest itself, I mean, there are amazing, great digital and creative companies here. And not just here, but in other local digital communities. Sometimes children in schools, sometimes our graduates don't know what those opportunities are. And actually what's really significant here is some of these opportunities will enable our school leavers, our graduates, etc., to earn levels of salaries way above the average. So actually, I'm really delighted you've got this Digital Skills Conference and that it's in your 6th year, because I think this is an amazing opportunity to platform all the amazing opportunities that take place within the Northwest. The European Union, I think I better say something about that. I know some of you will be concerned about that. You will want your quest to be, you want to get the best talent, and that's absolutely right. So what we are doing is we are listening to the concerns of the sector around access, talent, and mobility issues. what we remain focused in doing is ensuring that the UK is developing the digital skills it needs to support growth and productivity locally in economies like the Northwest, but also across the UK as well. And part of that means we do want to continue to make sure that we can attract the brightest and the best tech talent that we have. Tony, to your point, I mean, we are liaising with Home Office on what this might look like in the future. So there are lots of discussions going on at the moment in terms of what we need to do. Now, in our recently published Modern Industrial Strategy Green Paper, some of you may have heard about that, we set out the importance of raising skills levels. I've also already mentioned the reform of technical education. But I'm also really pleased to say that the government will publish shortly its digital strategy. Now, you may have heard that before, but it is going to be published very soon. And in that digital strategy, it will highlight the importance of digital skills, because digital skills is a huge component of getting this strategy right. And one of the things that we'll also highlight as well is that tackling the digital skills gap from a government perspective, it's a really, really significant challenge. Ministers, and I've spoken to have lots of conversations with ministers about this, ministers think it is a significant challenge because it is. But what we are keen to stress is that we can't do it on our own. Government cannot tackle this on its own, and actually, nor should it try to do that. So since I've been in the role, I've been spending quite a lot of time out and about discussing the issues around the digital skills gap and what it is that we can be doing. What has struck me the most is the overwhelming desire that we need to act now. That, you know, this is the time, this is the opportunity, we really need to act now. And the desire to support in tackling that challenge. And of course, there is a vested interest. You know, you all want the best talent. Companies want that, so they want to help. But it feels to me that there's also an element of there's a greater good at stake involved here. And there are a plethora of excellent private sector and third sector initiatives to try and help plug that gap. So whether it's after-school code clubs, whether it's helping support teachers with a computing curriculum, whether it's to give training to young disadvantaged people, to give them cloud computing skills so they can get really great jobs. Lots of stuff is going on, and we really commend that. But it's also clear that not everyone understands the whole landscape of activities. Not everyone understands where there might be gaps, where there might be opportunities to upscale, how to share best practice. It's quite a fragmented landscape. And I've also been struck by the desire of people coming to me and saying, actually, we think we should work better together in this space. So what we'd really like to do moving forward is establish a new partnership approach to tackling the digital skills gap. Government can play a really valuable role in using its convening power to ensure that people are talking together, that we provide a bit more coherence to the digital skills landscape, that we basically are able to share best practice in a better way than we do currently, and that we can target activity better. So in other words, we want to create the right framework and architecture so that the sum is greater than the parts, and we're not quite there yet. But for me, it feels like it's quite an overwhelming thing to do. It's quite a big thing to be doing. But it feels to me if we get that right, we can really help turn the dial. And locally, I think the partnership could play a really crucial role in growing local digital economies as here, perhaps by helping people find out about digitally focused jobs, how to access them. Government could, for example, help identify where the digital vacancies are, make that data available, and help local communities plug those gaps to address local skills shortages. So what we'd really like is your help and support. Manchester is an exemplar of a thriving local digital economy. We've already heard from Katie earlier about some of the great initiatives that are taking place here locally. And what we'd really like to do is tap into that expertise, tap into that leadership as we move this agenda forward. So that's it from me. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I'm going to hang around for quite a bit of today, including at the coffee break. So if anyone would like to talk to me about some of the issues that I've raised, then please do come and have a chat. I'd be more than happy to talk to you. Thank you.